All right, a recovery in the national housing market is all thanks to recent rate cuts by the Reserve Bank, according to property experts. The sector had its busiest week since March 2018, driven by keen buyers in Sydney and Melbourne.
It's a sign of confidence returning to the property market. The latest data revealing 5 months of consistent growth across the country.
It's been another strong result for housing markets nationally. CoreLogic's national index is up 1.7%.
That's for the month of November, which has seen Sydney house prices rise at their fastest rate in more than 30 years. Dwelling prices are up 2.7% in the harbour city. They've increased 2.2% in Melbourne.
If this run rate of growth continues into next year, we'll probably see Melbourne hit a technical recovery over the first couple of months of the year, and Sydney just a little bit later, probably around April or May.
Prices in Brisbane and the Gold Coast have also increased. Adelaide is up 0.5%, while Perth has had its first monthly price rise in 2 years.
Plenty of fundamentals are pointing to some stabilisation in Perth, as well as rental markets certainly tightening in that area as well.
Darwin, the only capital not to record growth. Across the country, the market had its busiest week since March 2018. More than 3,000 properties went under the hammer across all capitals. 1,100 of those were in Sydney, with a clearance rate of 83%. Experts say the growth in the sector is further evidence the Reserve Bank's interest rate cuts have bolstered the national housing market. Uncertainty over tax policy was also quelled after the Coalition's election win in May. Danica Di Giorgio, Sky News.
All right, guys, let's go to the front of the Oz again. Housing price rise to open wallets. The break in the spending drought could be close as booming house prices drive a wealth effect that is creating a reservoir of spending firepower, according to new research by investment bank UBS, with sales at the Black Friday and Cyber Monday promotions a key test for a much-needed retail recovery. And then, of course, if we head to the front of the Sydney Morning Herald, the headline, of course, is RBA feels pressure over home price rise. The Reserve Bank is under renewed pressure over its interest rate settings after the biggest surge in Australian dwelling values in 16 years, while retailers struggle and signs grow that the jobs market is slipping. It's a difficult balancing act, Damien, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you can see where the RBA is very hopeful that the housing market is starting to pick up, but there is a sluggish outlook when it comes to the retailer sector.
That's right, and values are shooting through the roof, and despite the Reserve Bank's measures during the year and interest rate cuts and all the rest of it, they're really hopeful that some of those things start to pay off. And the analysts are really looking closely at Black Friday. It's just happened over the weekend, and Cyber Monday, these newfangled things we'd never heard of a couple of minutes ago, it seems like. But they're important indicators of just the buying public's attitudes to spending, and that's all important as we go into a half year and New Year. So interested to see what happens here.
What do you reckon, Scott? Do you think that the RBA will keep rates on hold tomorrow?
Oh, they will tomorrow, but there's a strong expectation is into the new year. They might have to cut them down to 0.5 from the 0.75 at the moment. I mean, I look at those figures there, the housing, the bubble that was supposed to burst seems to be back up and bigger and badder than ever. I'm curious about whether that is across Australia or particularly in Sydney and Melbourne, because sometimes I think we're seeing a kind of two-speed economy on this way. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the retail, well, look, we've been facing what people have been calling in the industry a retail recession. Mm. And whether Black Friday and Cyber Monday, as Damien would talk about there, has made a difference. It'll be interesting to see. This is the balancing act for the RBA. They want to stimulate the economy, but in fact they don't want to stimulate the economy too much if there's a housing boom going on in Sydney. So this is the kind of decisions that Philip Lowe and the others on the board are going to have to make.
Did any of you two get caught up in the Black Friday sort of frenzy? Did you buy anything that you would possibly not have bought if it wasn't?
Well, I can tell you that my wife went there on Friday and said, "What the hell's happened?" She didn't realise it was at a major shopping centre in Brisbane,
of course.
And said, "Let's get out of here."
Yeah, right.
I went in there today and they said it was still going.
Yeah.
The Black Friday. So I picked up the scraps, but that was fine for me.
What about you, Damo?
It's brilliant marketing, and it really is all it is.
They love a sale. Anyone loves a sale.
It's a transplanted marketing gimmick from America, but look, everyone loves a sale, and they whip up into a frenzy. So, I thankfully dodged the retail centres over the weekend.
I went on and bought some airline tickets, and I've got to say they were a little bit cheaper than what they were sort of in the 48 hours prior. So it was good shopping.
No more pastoral suits that you're going to buy. We've talked about that before.
No, Magic Millions next.